Hey, what's 40 or 50 billion dollars among friends? As long as it gets put to good use, right? Well, hang on. Depends what you call good use. Welcome back, and thank you for wanting to know the facts and the truth. What's going on in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is big. You can't miss it on the news. You can't miss it on college campuses, and you really can't miss it online. But what are the facts? Why is this happening? That's what we're here to answer. Our approach is to examine the major themes and focus on the important events that help you make sense of what's happening today. We care about knowing the truth. We also care about the basic human right to live in peace. We care about ending the suffering. We care about finding justice. And we think you're here because you do too. The only path for us then is to go after the facts and be open to what they show us. Life can be beautiful without hatred, violence, and war, and maybe the way there starts with better understanding each other, better understanding the Jewish people, the Palestinian people, the history of their conflicts and past peace efforts, and some of the major issues standing in the way of forging real peace. What the Hell is Going On in Gaza is a 9-part series made up of 30 episodes, each designed to help you understand a different but important part of the picture. As part 2 of our series continues, our focus stays on answering some basic questions about Hamas. Here in episode 9, we'll share the facts and examine what's become of the billions in foreign aid that's been sent to the Palestinian Authority and Hamas. Let's get started. An enormous amount of international aid has gone to the Palestinian Authority and Hamas. According to the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD, aid to Palestinians totaled over $40 billion between 1994 and 2020. According to the U.S. Government Accountability Office, the USGAO, the United States gave more than $7.6 billion in aid to Palestinians between 1993 and 2023. According to this December 2021 article by the Associated Press, the Palestinian Authority said it would direct $1.7 billion to Gaza in 2021 alone. From 2014 to 2020, United Nations agencies spent nearly $4.5 billion in Gaza, and Qatar provided $1.3 billion in aid to Gaza from 2012 to 2020. While many billions in international aid has gone to Gaza, much of it has been stolen and used for either terrorist infrastructure or to line the pockets of Hamas leaders. The scale of the international aid that has gone to the Palestinians is remarkable. But, thanks to leadership devoted to terrorism and theft instead of the best interests of the Palestinian people, the lack of results is tragic. More international aid has gone to Palestinians for the West Bank and Gaza than the U.S. spent to rebuild Japan or Germany after World War II. And that's in inflation-adjusted dollars. Imagine if Palestinian leaders used their $40 billion in aid for the benefit of their people and not for terrorist infrastructure and to enrich themselves. Let's look at Gaza's water supply. According to honest reporting, most of Gaza's water, some 92%, comes from aquifers under Gaza. Only 6% of Gaza's water comes from Israel. The problem is that Hamas neglected that water system and even dug up its pipes to repurpose them as rockets to fire at Israel. How do we know this? Well, one of the ways is that Hamas actually released a video showing them digging up the water pipes and remaking them into rockets to fire at Israel. And UN Watch reported that Hamas boasted of their ability to make an arsenal of rockets from 30 miles of water pipeline built by the European Union. In October 2023, NBC News reported, quote, Hamas, however, has funded an armed force of thousands equipped with rockets and drones and built a vast web of tunnels under Gaza. Estimates of its annual military budget range from $100 million to $350 million, according to Israeli and Palestinian sources. And that, quote, since coming to power in the Gaza Strip 17 years ago, Hamas has filled its coffers with hundreds of millions in international aid, overt and covert injections of cash from Iran and other ideological partners, as well as cryptocurrency, taxes, extortion, and smuggling, according to current and former U.S. officials and regional experts. Another issue is that Hamas steals aid coming into Gaza. The Wall Street Journal, in an article titled "The Gaza Hospital and the Missing Aid," wrote, quote, "The United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees, known as UNRWA, took to Twitter on Monday writing, quote, UNRWA received reports that yesterday a group of people with trucks purporting to be from the Ministry of Health of the de facto authorities in Gaza removed fuel and medical equipment from the agency's compound in Gaza City." The article then continues, quote, "But hours later something strange happened. UNRWA deleted its tweet and said nothing was amiss. Quote, with regards to reports on social media of looting of an UNRWA warehouse, it wrote, leaving out that the reports had been its own, quote, UNRWA would like to confirm that no looting has taken place, end quote. The agency didn't reply to requests for comment. UNRWA can pretend that it never said what it said, but UN sources told Israel's Walla News that the aid was stolen. And Israel's military liaison to the Palestinians reports that 24,000 liters of fuel and medical supplies went to Hamas, whose underground bases use diesel generators. Hamas also leverages the international aid to fund the construction of its underground tunnel system, which it uses to hide beneath the civilian populations, to store and move weaponry and fighters, and for other purposes related to its terrorism operations. In January 2024, Fox News reported on this in an article titled, How Hamas Fooled Gullible Donors to Fund Its billion-dollar terror tunnel system. Quote, in some cases, the tunnels are simple warrens enabling Hamas fighters to ambush Israeli soldiers. In others, the shafts are vast, elaborate creations replete with elevators, electricity, and full ventilation systems. Some are even equipped with bedrooms, bathrooms, and dining rooms, as well as command centers for Hamas to carry out its ongoing military operation against Israel. Quote, Hamas took taxes from its residents and let others pay for everything that, as a government, it was supposed to take care of, Darshan Leitner said. She described how for most of the past 2 decades, Qatar supplied oil and funded humanitarian projects, the PA covered the costs of electricity, water, health, and education, while UNRWA, including with funding from the U.S., took care of a wide variety of needs for some 75% of the population considered refugees. Hamas does not need to pay a dime for the population. Everything is taken care of by others, she said. This allows them to use their money for military purposes. For some perspective, consider the fact that Hamas's network of terror tunnels under Gaza, built with international aid that was meant to help the people of Gaza, is significantly longer than the entire London Underground. It's more than 1.5 times longer, even though Gaza is less than a quarter the size of London. In fact, it's longer than the subway systems of New York City, Paris, Washington, D.C., and Tokyo. Not only was international aid used to fund Hamas's terrorism infrastructure, Hamas leaders stole much for themselves too. They created vast personal wealth by stealing from their own people. While Palestinians in Gaza suffer in poverty, the leaders of Hamas have managed to make themselves fabulously wealthy by stealing international aid and stealing from their own people. Hamas also makes hundreds of millions of dollars a year, taxing both legal and illegal goods entering Gaza. These tariffs make goods more expensive to ordinary Palestinians living in Gaza. Let's summarize. Billions of dollars in foreign aid has poured into Gaza. Instead of being used to develop infrastructure, or for agriculture, or for education, it is leveraged by Hamas for tunnels, rockets, and their leaders' personal bank accounts. And that doesn't help the Palestinian people. Thank you for continuing to watch our series, What the Hell is Going On in Gaza? We hope you got a better understanding of the facts behind Hamas's use of international aid. If you'd like to leave a comment or get in touch, visit our website at www.getthefactsmiddleeast.com. There's still a lot more to learn in this series, so we hope you'll keep going. Next up is episode 10, where we'll look at the question of whether Hamas has delivered for the Palestinian people. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your interest in learning more about the war in Gaza. And remember, where there is no knowledge, there can be no insight.